Every now and again I get a commission which boggles my noggin, and here we are. And Towards the Dawn is a road trip RPG, a vampire road trip RPG, a vampire road trip RPG set in the post-apocalyptic Soviet Union, a vampire road trip RPG set in the post-apocalyptic Soviet Union inspired by the anime Vampire in the Garden. Vampire in the Garden was made by Wit Studio, released in 2022, and had a fairly interesting idea and was odd. A combination of being rushed in its ideas, going as far as the pitch, not to say it's bad, it's just rushed. And Towards the Dawn was an attempt to capture the same idea of two or more disparate people trekking across a hostile wasteland. Different people, one driven by mortal needs such as food and water, another driven by an unholy desire for blood. The main system is a D10 dice pool rolling against a target number, but there are a few oddities to it to keep it spicy. Between humans and vampires, humanity has a small edge on the plethora of skills, but none of them are really too strange outside of para-reality and worldly, both of which are factor into the great outside world they'll be traveling. Vampires have higher attributes though, and their lineage from hideous Nosferatu to royal and completely insane. However, their anchors, both human and vampires, are what keeps them tied down to the world, because not only are they goals or relationships that can be threatened, they are also obsessions. Because vampires are obsessive creatures, craving and desiring things. As they become more delirious, they'll start rolling a d20, called their blood die, in addition to everything else. It'll act the same, but larger successes, bigger wins, and more compromised mental state, as instead of the traditional health, stress and stability are the two main factors of your ability to keep going. Stability is your mental wherewithal. It could be gunfights or an argument all tumbling down, reaching to zero. Of course, vampires have a lower stability to work with, but when it is zero, they'll start taking scars. These scars can be violent wounds or worse, emotional trauma that forces the character to take penalties on every single check should it apply. Those initial anchors being the amount of scars the character can take before their journey comes to a rather abrupt ending, as that's a fairly major part of the game, to be honest. The travel system is a hex crawl about getting from point A to point B, mostly in your old beater of a car, and you're going to be traveling across a series of maps toward your promised land. It's not a fun or exciting trip either, but when you're navigating the blasted nightmare zone, anything and everything is valuable. The idea of deprivation was constant. Do you have food? Do you have blood? Do you have fuel, ammo, supplies, anything? Of course you don't. You have a trunk and a dream, and it's all falling apart. As they explore, they'll actually be writing in aspects about the map, each of these places being their own dedicated space on the hex crawl. The drifters are the ones choosing where a lot of the major features are being placed, or finding them as they explore, but everything has a cost. The pace of the vehicle, the recovery, the actions you're taking on the road will affect how this trip is actually going. The journey isn't without its own host of fears and problems for them to deal with, all driving them a little bit crazy. Combat is, of course, a bloody affair, entirely reliant on the PCs to make their 2-hit check and land these bloody hits. The main gimmick, you can say, is combat is the panic system. Remember that stability? The more mental than anything. At the end of the round, everyone's going to be rolling for their panic, losing a bit of that wiggle room each round. Combat's not about necessarily killing your enemy, it's about breaking them. And then finally, I should talk about that, shouldn't I? The looming dread. Everything you do, everything you don't do, everything you're thinking about doing is building or decreasing the looming dread. Because something, someone is out there chasing you and probably wants your entire party's head on a pike. This odyssey isn't a fun adventure, it's a struggle to get to salvation. A salvation that is quickly coming to a close as that looming nightmare comes closer and closer. Fighting it off is temporary. It will reach you, but it is about delaying it until you reach it. But that's Toward the Dawn. Kind of a weird commission, but a weird commission can be fun every now and again. Probably will rework the travel system somewhere else, but I enjoy what I wrote. Even the anime was fine. My name is Notepad, and this was Towards the Dawn, a sanguine odyssey. If you like what I do here, feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. And many thanks to the Union Ration Authority for their continued assistance. Godspeed, good luck, and have a lovely rest of the night.